you all for coming. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes? It's been moved and properly seconded. Smith? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposers, nay. Motion carries. Okay, we have some ordinances today. We have one on final reading. It has already been read into the record. Are there any questions about that? Okay. Hearing none and seeing no lights. Now we'll move on to ordinances on first reading. Madam Clerk, would you please read 6A, please? First reading, yeah.
An ordinance amending Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 11, Article 20, short-term vacation rental certificate in connection with an annual review.
Okay. Councilwoman Burrs.
Thank you, sir. I know that there have been various discussions of amendments to part of this. The ordinance itself is very good, except for, and Phil, this is what I'm unsure of, except for either 519
Yes, ma'am.
or some other number, and I don't know where that stands.
Let me tell you again, on here, at least item number A has got the original ordinance, which was deferred from December the 3rd, and that ordinance had a provision in it that was 11-519, which is the section that refers to any allocation of short-term vacation rental tax revenues. And the amended version, or the alternate version, which is also on your agenda this evening, took that section to a different section of the ordinance, which is 11-199. So if there is a, I guess, consideration of the alternate version, the privilege tax references are on the 11-199 in the alternate version and 11-519 in the first version.
So I need some questions. I have some questions of clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
11-199 falls under what broad topic?
That topic is based upon the usage of, I guess, hotel motel taxes that are available here for properties in the city.
Okay, and under 11-519 was under what broad topic?
That is only under short-term vacation rentals.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
so the proper way tonight would be to not approve, to get rid of 11-199,
Yes, ma'am.
which leaves us back to 11-519, and then move to pass it absent 11-519.
Yes, ma'am. You could either do the original version without 519 or the alternate version without 11-199.
All right, without 519. So moving the original without 519 would get us,
Where you are.
or I can only speak for myself, get where we are. All right, so let me ask you another technical question.
Yes, ma'am.
This is a public meeting. Can that be done here to get it ready for tonight?
I think you probably need to do that in the meeting this evening here as you're going along.
Because,
Because at that time, it would be heard, all of the public has been notified that that is on the agenda for tonight.
so it's because of the agenda reason?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's it, Councilwoman Burrs?
I'm good.
Great, thank you. Okay. Is there any items? We'll move on down to planning items. Councilman Gilbert.
Yes, Chair, on D, we want an alternate version. I'm gonna let John say the alternate version and also the conditions on that alternate version.
Yes, the city attorney's already inserted an alternate version. It shows the M3. I think Councilman Gilbert asked for some conditions to go with that. And there are 6 conditions, which I guess I'll note for the record. One is a single building with 3 separate units, 2 type A screening to residential zoning. 3, an office with a 2-foot 2 roll-up doors per unit. 4, comply with the overlay airport road setback and screening requirements. 5, dumpster service during business hours only. And then 6 is 1 drive, limited to 1 drive each on Pinehurst and Airport Road. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So I think, Phil, I think that's, his intent was to add those as conditions to that alternate ordinance.
Okay, and we will see that alternate version on the agenda tonight, right? Or will he need to make an amendment?
We will do that. Item C right now has an alternate version in my
Okay,
documents.
so we
with
talking
my
about C or
alternate
D?
version
It's C,
See?
and I think it's just adding to that alternate version those conditions he indicated. I understand, I think Councilman has spoken with the applicant, is that correct?
Yes, we spoke earlier today, and they'll be here this evening to agree with the conditions that we put in place.
Excellent.
Okay.
Okay. Councilman Smith,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
thank you.
Councilman Mitchell's not out here at the moment. There is an item, planning item B, that is in District 2. I just wanted to ask John, it is my understanding, John, that the applicant had expressed a wish to withdraw this. Is that your
That
understanding
is
as
correct,
well?
that's my understanding as well.
Okay. That's what I thought. I wanted to put that out there, and tonight, unless there is, unless Councilman Mitchell has a feeling otherwise, I'll be moving to withdraw that item.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
thank you, Councilman Smith. Councilman Gilbert.
Yes, Chair. Also on D, I'm gonna add some conditions, 2 conditions to that. Can you read them conditions?
I think you had the written up one, but I'll say the 2 of them that we talked about was single-family residential only and office use only.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. That's it, Councilman?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Byrd.
Thank you, Chair. John, I would like to discuss I
Yes, sir.
under planning and the conditions that are put there. Could you read them for me?
Sure, yeah, let me look at my email I sent out, just 1 second.
All right.
And it's understood, Councilman, your desire is to add the site plan attached to the ordinance, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And let me go over the condition. I think I had just 1 statement. Give me 1 second here.
And that would be the altered version, correct?
Yeah, they'll be added as as an alternate. That's correct. Give me 1 second here. Oh, I got it here somewhere.
Okay, that's it, Councilman? Oh,
Yeah, let me just read it off real quick. Actually, give me 1 second. I'll find it. Here we go. The condition would read, subject to the property being developed as noted in the attached site plan to this ordinance. This site plan is intended to indicate the general location of buildings on the site. Actual building locations may vary by up to 5 feet.
okay, thank you, Councilman. Oh, Councilman Byrd, would you please hit the light again, please? Thank you very much.
One other thing about D that you were discussing in 5,
Yes,
that
ma'am.
automatically falls, including Councilman Gilbert's conditions, that automatically falls under everything for the overlay, right?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
That's it?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. John, I want to reference item G. I know it's been a lot of back and forth with that. Could you give us an update on where we at with that?
Sure, as I
'Cause
understand.
one thing, we're seeing an alternate version on here
Yes, sir.
that wasn't previously, so just kind of give us an update on that, please.
Yeah, as I understand, the applicant has submitted a revised site plan that shows, or not, type of zoning map that shows the reduced heights, as I showed it at the presentation last week. And so that basically is aligned with that. The text amendment also has an alternative version to align with that revised zoning map, basically dropping the zoning heights. I think the maximum, for the one particular small parcel was 20, it's dropped to 16. And then the base commercial X was originally proposed as 12, and now it's showing as 10 stories. And it shows, that map shows, again, a 5, CX5 along Riverfront Parkway.
Okay. It is my understanding that we were just supposed to do, if that were to happen, it was supposed to just been an amendment made tonight.
Yes, sir.
So the alternate version, I'm kind of
I got you.
confused about that, yeah.
I was working with the city attorney's office, and I think he was just trying to have that ready. Phil, have you got anything else you want to add? He and I've been in communication with Phil this afternoon.
It's subject to whether y'all want to approve that or not. We were trying to give you at least a version that would work in that light. If you want to do it, if you don't, then that's fine as well. The recommended version from planning is still the top item on the list on here. We were just trying to track the language that you were looking at.
Okay, well, I think that needs to be removed if it's
I hear what
scheduled.
you're saying.
Should it move forward with an amendment?
I got
You know,
you.
because this kind of confuses the situation as far as I'm concerned,
Understand.
given the conversation we've had over the past month.
I hear you.
Okay, great.
All right,
Okay, are there any other, yeah, Councilman Ledford?
Thank you, Chairman. Phil, how did this get on here?
we were trying to at least
Who?
assist you during the lunch hour. Mr. Bridger and I were, yes.
And we just throw things on our agenda?
No, sir, we were trying to make sure we were keeping up with any particular changes that were being requested at that time. Yes, sir. If y'all don't add it to the agenda, it will not be on the agenda this
Well,
evening.
it shouldn't be here now, Phil.
Okay, sir.
We did not vote for it in committee, an alternate version. Any changes should be brought forth as an amendment.
And that
And
should also include
magically,
H
once
as well.
Just, I'm not throwing it at you, Phil, because I know you take direction from others, but, I mean, this is a little frustrating
Yes, sir.
that it just pops up there.
Yes, sir.
Jeez, oh Pete, no wonder people don't trust us.
We will take it off.
Okay, thank you, Phil. And so we will have another agenda with all the various alternate versions we have been discussing prior tonight.
Yes,
So
sir.
we as a council is all on the same page with the exact same documents.
All right, sir.
Okay. Are there any other questions related to planning items that we need to clarify or have a further discussion? Okay. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, let's move on to resolutions. 7A, please.
A resolution authorizing the acceptance of the fee simple conveyance from Cameron Riverfront Land LLC to the city of Chattanooga of a 2.173 acre portion of tax map number 135N-A-004, further identified in the form attached as the city parcel on Barge Project 35658-07 at an appraised value of $140,000.
Okay, I have no questions. I see no lights. Let's move on to 7B, please, under fire.
A resolution authorizing the Director of Wireless Communications to enter into a 3-year service agreement with Motorola Solutions Asset Management for $42,384 per year for a total amount of $127,152 for the full term of the contract.
Seeing no questions, item 7C.
A resolution to confirm the mayor's appointments of Miguel Morales, David Higney, and Ann Pierre to the Wastewater Regulations and Appeals Board.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move on to 7D.
A resolution approving a special exceptions permit for an existing liquor store change in ownership located at 6401 Hickson Pike, Suite A.
Thank you. Item 7E, please.
A resolution approving a special exceptions permit for a residential planned unit development for properties located at 8024, 8104, 8108, and 8202 Shallowford Road, subject to certain conditions.
You good, Councilman Ledford?
I was just,
You have the mic.
thank you, Chairman. I do have, there may be a deferral on this. I will have full confirmation in the next few minutes.
Thank you, Councilman. Okay, seeing no other business, we originally had a Youth and Family Development Committee meeting. It will be deferred or postponed until next month. Is that right, Councilwoman Coonrod? Okay, thank you, Councilwoman. Okay, now we will move on to departmental report by our wonderful fire department.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for letting us present here. As the presentation's coming up, I just kind of want to give you an update on what we were working on. A number of months ago, we talked about our 554 calls, or our assisted citizen calls, and some of the challenges that it was caused in emergency services running on these calls, and the tax that it was putting on our 911 system. So we developed a program. It's more of a social internship program, what we call CFD Connect. As you know, from about 2016, we've seen a dramatic increase in the number of 554 calls that we run. And every one of those calls that we run, a couple things happen when that does that. One, we take trucks out of service for emergency services, what they're designed for. And we also find individuals that don't have resources that they need. So I think it's important that we came up with a program to address all those needs, and I'll kind of share a little bit with you. 2016, 2019, you can just see based on the data that we've had there, it's a dramatic increase over time, and I think it's just with an aging population and people not having connection to those resources that they need, they're relying on the 911 system, and they're calling 911 to help get people out of the floor, to help with different problems that they have in their home that they just don't have they don't have services for. As you can see there, real quick, from 2015 to 2019, it just kind of paints a dramatic picture how many of those calls we actually run. So there, here recently in 2019, we're running our monthly average 122 of those type calls. What we're running on non-emergency calls just to help people that otherwise need assistance from other agencies. So a couple things could happen. We could take in a hard stance and punish people for abusing the 911 system, but I don't think that addresses the root problem. The root problem is the folks need resources, and we've got to figure out a way to connect them with those resources to make it happen. And I think it's much more important that we address the root problem instead of just putting a Band-Aid on a solution. So a couple of guys here, Chief Andrews and Captain Skylar Phillips have taken a very large passion in putting this program together and what we call the CFD Connect, and I'm just going to kind of turn the whole program over to them and let them explain all the details from it. I'm extremely proud of them and the work that they've done up to this point. And we've seen some very good success in just the limited amount of time that we've had this internship program stood up. So I think there's promise with this program. I think it's a good service for the community, and it really kind of changes the fire service business from just being reactionary. We're more of a proactive. This is a more proactive approach, and we've been down the road of reactionary before. We've tried the QRV program, which was entirely reactive to these specific type calls. And it failed. The program failed. So I think taking a more proactive approach to this is the way that the fire service needs to be. I will say, and kind of bragging on the guys that have set this thing up, there aren't a whole lot of programs like this throughout the country that fit this specific model. We've taken bits and pieces out of this and really made it kind of our own that suits the needs of Chattanooga community. And I think it's very important that we understand that. We're a progressive, I like to think that we're a progressive fire department. And thinking a little bit outside of the box and not doing just the same old MO of what the whole fire service is really about. So I think we're kind of going above and beyond for our community. And that's really what the end result is to connect individuals with resources that they need and make their life better. So I'll turn it over at that point.
Thank you, Chief Hyman. First, before we get started, we want to introduce you folks to a man named Jeffrey. And Jeffrey, this picture here was taken from the Times Free Press article written by a good friend of ours, Elizabeth Fite. Jeffrey, you can't go to a fire station in Chattanooga today without someone at that station knowing Jeffrey. You can see from 2017, we responded to Jeffrey 72 times. And in 2018, miraculously, that number exactly doubled. okay, with the majority of those being towards the end of 2018. And then finally in 2019, we responded to Jeffrey 109 times in January and February. And what's going on is Jeffrey is not picking up his phone and dialing 911 and letting someone know what's going on. Jeffrey has an alert device on his pendant that he wears around his neck. So when Jeffrey drops his remote control and he can't reach over to get it, Jeffrey pushes his button. Or when Jeffrey falls because he tried to get his remote control out of the floor, he pushes his button. But we never know what that call is going to be until we get there. So we're forced to run emergency traffic until we see what the problem is. So this has kind of brought it to light that we can no longer provide the service that Jeffrey needs. So this was kind of our turning point. This is where we began to look and see what else we can do to provide the service that Jeffrey needs.
So everything we do, we look at cost. What does, that look like? Man hours. So for fire apparatus to do anything in a 1 hour period, we're looking at $260. All right. For our lift assist, we can usually turn around and get that truck back in service in pretty much like a half an hour unless something's strange or odd. So we sort of attach the cost of $130 per call. When we look at those calls for Mr. Jeffrey, these are the total amounts that we came up with for the time periods. So if we don't do anything or don't change anything, we can see just of January and February of this year, we spent $14,000 just responding to this one individual. All right.
All right, so at this point, we've reached the turning point. We can no longer do what needs to be done, so we need to figure something out. So we began searching the internet, looking at other departments. As Chief Hyman touched on, we can't find anything that fits Chattanooga. The majority of the departments that are doing things about this are larger metro government departments, and they're also transporting agencies. And what that means is the fire and EMS are together, whereas you all know the city of Chattanooga runs our fire department, Hamilton County EMS runs our ambulance services. So it's very tough to find something that matches what we're looking for. So we reached out to departments from Maryland to Texas, trying to find something that fits. And we finally built a relationship with Lexington, Kentucky Fire Department. Lexington, Kentucky also has a metro government, and they also are a transporting agency, but they're doing things different than the regular community paramedicine program. They're using social workers in their department to get these people the help they need. So I visited Lexington. I went to Lexington. I rode along with the trucks. I went on these calls with Lexington, and they're seeing the exact same things we are. So what we did was we took the good and the bad from them, and we put it all together, and we made it work to create the Chattanooga model. Instead of hiring social workers in the department, we went to UTC, and we created a partnership with UTC where we could use social work interns to form the needs assessments and determine what's going on. We teamed up with the Hamilton County Chattanooga Health Department with the Senior Health and Aging Committee of the Regional Health Council, which was a large group of individuals, like-minded individuals, who were able to help us bounce ideas off each other and create some real goals that we could move forward. And this is where the CFD Connect program was created.
All right, so there on the screen you see our purpose. We want to be more proactive. We want to try to prevent these people from falling, because every firefighter can tell you they respond to the same person that needs help. And sooner or later, they're going to have that catastrophic injury, all right? That's going to set that person back. They may never live at home again. They may never return from the hospital. But we want to prevent that call from occurring, not just from a cost standpoint for the fire department, but we also want to have that fire apparatus available for true emergencies.
So our interns got to work immediately. They started creating the forms that we needed when we go out and we see these people. They started creating a resource guide. We started putting things together. We got information from the Health Council, the Senior Health and Aging Committee, to tell us where to turn, who needs what fits where, all of those things. We started using the interns to visit these citizens in their home. We actually looked at the 20,000 calls that we ran last year, and we looked at the frequent callers, which addresses kept popping up, to determine what needs needed to be met. And we actually went out and visited those citizens. We started doing the needs assessment. This is the root of this whole thing. We have to determine the why. We have to figure out why people need our help. And then we can look for resources in the community to meet that need, as opposed to reactively responding as the fire department to meet that need. And then, of course, we connect the citizen to that resource.
We didn't create any new resources. There's a ton of great agencies inside our community that we partnership with. University of Tennessee at Chattanooga with their social interns program, and the health department has been great helps to us. But y'all see just a small list of the organizations that we work with to apply needs for our clients.
All right, and as we were going along, we determined that a lot of our clients didn't have insurance. We found that this was a need throughout our community. So we teamed up with the Chattanooga Housing Authority, and we had a health insurance fair at Dogwood Manor at 959 Gateway. And what we did was we invited everyone from the towers around us to come and review their insurance information or sign up for insurance if they didn't have insurance. We also arranged through Cardi Caravan for the folks at 2501, Mary Walker Towers to join, to come over and have their insurance checked on or sign up for insurance. We had lots of community partners come together and provide food, provide the prizes and all kinds of things. We had nearly 100 people that came to visit us, and then we ended up with 20 to 30 people who actually signed up for health insurance that didn't have health insurance previously. All right. Yeah, back to Jeffrey.
All right, so this is Mr. Jeffrey again. So he, beginning of this year, during January and February, there were 109 calls to his residence. All right, so if we took that average calls of 54.5 calls a month and let them continue unchanged to this point, that would have been 654 calls, all right, which would have cost us $85,000, all right. But since we intervened from March until December, Mr. Jeffries only called 36 times, all right, which costs $4,600, all right. So that's a total savings of us taking care of that problem at the lowest level and meeting his needs and finding out the root cause. We saved $66,000.
And as you can see there for FY19, CFD already ran 1,468 calls, which is an increase from the previous year. The non-emergency calls total cost $190,840. That's a huge number. We know we can never stop all these, and we tell everyone we talk to, we're not trying to keep you from calling us. If you need us, call us. We'll be there. You can count on it. But if we can help proactively prevent those things, then that's something we can save. The interns worked with 13 clients over this last semester. That's working 16 hours a week for 2 of them. Those 13 clients accounted for 70 calls for the previous 3 months, previously to August, before they started. They worked with the clients for the next 3 months. The next 3 months, those same 13 clients then accounted for 26 calls, which was a total cost of $3,300 and a decrease of 63% from the previous 3 months after we intervened. The total cost of this program so far has added 0 money to the budget. We have not spent a dime. Even the flyers that we passed out at Dogwood Manor and Boynton Towers were gifts from our community partners. They did that for us to hand those out. So we have yet to spend a dime above what we've already done. The work has been done with Chief Andrews and I on top of our other duties at the fire department.
All right, so we talk about one of our success. This client, she didn't want to depend on us. She'd actually lay on the floor and wait to shift change. She may lay on the floor all night before she called us, so she didn't wake us up out of bed. And that's sad part. That's sometimes common that we get to know these people so well, and they get to know us and know how we work. They will try to do everything they can, but we've always tell them, hey, if you need us, call us, we're coming. All right. But she was, we went and did a needs assessment. She didn't have any smoke detectors in her home, so we installed 3 while we were there. gave her a little bit of education. She was empowered to call her insurance company and realized she needed her bed replaced and got that replaced. Since we intervened and went out and did a needs assessment, she has not called us back one time. You know, that's our goal for our clients to age in their home, have what they need to, and not need us until that true emergency happens.
And then this other one, the next one, this gentleman literally had a debilitating illness that caused him to be paralyzed from the waist down overnight. The family didn't know what to do. There was no way for the wife to be able to physically pick him up. She was too frail to do so. So we ended up with 6 calls in 2 months to this house. We went to check on them. We performed a needs assessment, determined some things that they needed, actually went back to help sign up for the insurance and found out that the patient was at Memorial Hospital. I actually had made previous connections with Memorial Hospital. I called, talked to one of the ladies there, told her that we had a client that was at their facility and wanted to know if we could work with their case manager on getting this patient signed up for insurance. We were able to work with their case managers, get the patient signed up for the insurance that they needed. They were then placed on the Choices program. We also signed them up with Cardi Caravan, so now the mother or the wife doesn't have to try to get him to his doctor's appointments. And same as the other one, we have not heard from them since. So that's a big success. And then our last one here, this lady was, it almost chokes me up to think about her, but she couldn't hardly see. Her glasses were broke. She would trip and fall. She didn't have anything in her apartment, and we went to check on her. And when she saw that we were there to help her, she started to cry. She said, "Somebody actually cares about me." So we got her some things. Rob, if you'll play that. This is the voicemail that she left for me.
Hello, Skylar. I was just calling to say thank you. When I got home Wednesday, both the chairs were there to greet me in the apartment, and I just wanted to thank you for your legwork in dropping off, picking up, and making calls and everything you've done for me so far. It's a very short period of time, just a few days. And so I thank you. And I just thought I'd say thank you through this little fun way. This is it. It's just a few seconds. Thank you, Skylar. Thank you, Skylar. Thank you, Skylar. Thank you, Skylar. Thank you. Thank you, Skylar. Thank you. Thank you, Skylar. And I hope you have a great Easter, or some people say Resurrection Sunday, and I'll be talking to you again. Thanks for everything. Bye-bye.
We were able to get her a walker so that she could get out again. We were able to get her a piece of some things for her glasses so that she could wear her glasses again. We got her a piece of furniture, a chair, and she thought it was the greatest thing, you know.
Yeah. So we kept her from falling. We actually called her, made her a doctor's appointment so she could get what she needed. You know, it's great to have a career or profession that we can actually touch people and make a change. And it's greater when we can do that stuff at such a low cost. But we would like to see this program grow, you know, because we believe there is a lot more people out there that need help, and we don't want to, you know, take away from what we are truly designed to do, is those true 911 emergencies. But thank y'all for listening.
Thank you.
You have any questions for us?
Sure. Councilman Ledford.
Thank you, Chairman. God bless you all. Seriously. I mean, the drive to notice something that's wrong that you can fix and just to make a difference in people's lives. God bless you. And it's inspiring, it's contagious, and I give you a round of applause because that's awesome.
Thank you.
You know, when I hear stories, and I ask for them quite frankly from the fire department, Chief Hyman and I've talked about, Chief Roddy and I've talked about, I'm reminded of just how incredible our fire and our police department are and what you all do for our community. And we have the best departments in the whole world. And this is the true spirit of service to our community. And I just can't thank you enough for continuing this desire to look for things like this. I mean, it's great that you found a savings, but by gosh, the savings that you found are so much deeper than money. And I'm just grateful for that. Thank you so much, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Gilbert.
I just want to echo what Councilman Leffler said. You solved two problems, and you help people that need help. I really appreciate that. I mean, hopefully we, as you set the example for all of us, start looking at our neighbors and start saying, what can we do to help each other? But I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other comments? Thank you, gentlemen, for all you do.
Thank you, sir.
Is there any other business this council would like to share with us this afternoon? If not, we are adjourned till 6 o'clock.